All right, everybody, we made it to Friday. Happy Friday. Yesterday, your characters in their moral dilemmas presentation was due. Make sure you go back and look at my examples where I talked you through every single slide. And then yesterday's video, I talked through how to complete the writing task, okay? Today, we're going to move on into our setting notes and our setting chart. This is going to be based off of the novel we've chosen. If you don't have one yet, that's okay. I have a couple of options for you to choose to use for this assignment. It also will earn your attendance credit for today in terms of submitting the chart. It's very short. Okay, so in my example, you'll see the first page just talks you through each of the different sections, kind of gives you some background information, and then you have some links that will take you to some videos that will give you examples from the Hunger Games and talk you through that. Then you also have, so you have your time, right? So is it past, present, future, the time of day? Does it, take place over a certain amount of years? What is the timing of it? And then for location, is it, in the city? Excuse me. Sorry. Is it in the country? Does it take place across different states, or is it near a river, right? All that stuff matters. So then you have the cultural beliefs about the people who live there. What are their values? What are their families like? What about their laws or their occupations or their ethics? Do they have, certain statuses in society? Stuff like that, okay? And so on the second page, you are going to use this to take notes from the novel you are reading. So the one I'm reading, I've mentioned, I'm almost done with it actually, is I'm Not Your Perfect Mexican Daughter by Erica Sanchez. I think I only have maybe 50 pages, and I'm super excited because I haven't finished a book all year, but it's been that good for me. Um, I want you to see how I completed my notes based on what I've read so far. So my book takes place in Chicago in the current time of year, or maybe like around 2013. I had to read pretty far in before I understood that it was like around the 2010s. Um, there were certain references in there that made me think kind of earlier 2000s anyway. So other than like the time of year, I think there's one part where it's like in the winter, but other than that, there's not really much. Then you have um, like the type of terrain, so or like buildings and stuff. So the story takes place on the south side of Chicago in a rough neighborhood, mostly of apartment buildings, like low income apartment buildings. The apartment that Julia, the protagonist, lives in with her family is infested with roaches. Not like to the point where it's disgusting, but it's a low income place, and so there's not really like a lot of pest control. It's decorated in a typical Mexican fashion. I can empathize because, like, when I would go to grandparents' houses, there was the Virgin Mary everywhere, and like lace doilies, I don't know, like on everything, and the porcelain dolls, and all kinds of stuff that would be typical of Mexican households. And then towards the end, about maybe 50 pages ago or so, she was sent to Mexico. And so the setting completely shifts to a completely different country, but it ultimately kind of brings out a lot of the elements of her culture that her parents are really trying to emphasize in her earlier on in the book. So the whole dilemma, and part of one of the major conflicts in this book is based off of cultural beliefs. So as the title suggests, Julia is not the perfect Mexican daughter. She feels like an outsider in her family because they want her to live a more traditional and conservative life, and she's not that way. She had an older sister named Olga who died tragically at the beginning of the book, and she's one that her whole entire family, especially her mom, feels like embodied what it meant to be the perfect Mexican daughter. She was quiet. She kept her head down. She went to work. She cleaned. She cooked. She spent time with her family. She didn't really go out. And so she's like compared to her sister this whole book, and she's the complete opposite. So Julia loves to write. She hates cleaning houses, and she dresses in really dark clothes, and she has a really loud mouth. She's not afraid to say exactly what's on her mind. She's angry a lot. And her family, her mom especially always cries. She feels like she doesn't deserve the difficult child that she is. Calls her malcriada quite a bit, which means poorly behaved, spoiled, or selfish. And that is like the running theme for her. So the cultural beliefs are very much, you're supposed to act this way, you're supposed to act this way towards your parents, you're supposed to live this kind of life. And Julia doesn't feel that way at all, and she wants a different life. And is really conflicted throughout the entire book. So there's a lot of triggering things in there, but the cultural beliefs is a huge part of this particular book. Okay, not so much the time of year, but definitely like the fact that it takes place on the south side of Chicago and then again in Mexico. Big deal to my book. Okay, so you're going to complete your own setting chart, and the first page of notes are there to help you. But if you don't have a book yet, you can use one of these excerpts. So there's an excerpt from Of Mice and Men. It's about 5 pages. It's kind of the beginning of the book. And then same thing from A Very Large Expansive Sea. It's about, I think, 5 or 6 pages if I can't remember. So they're about the same length. It's just going to depend on which one you want to choose. So I have a couple of options for you if you prefer. You could always search, one of the titles on the slides and look at the first chapter like in Amazon or on Sora. If you don't have any of the apps, I really do suggest going to Amazon because they'll let you preview like the first chapter, and that's pretty much all you need to be able to get through these particular notes. You could always change your book later, especially if you're just using excerpts, but it would be really helpful if you kept it from the same book. Okay? All right. Have a great Friday, everybody. Let me know if you have any questions. Turn in as much assignments as you can. Next week, we have Friday off, and the week after that, we have like a half day, and you have SAT days. So a break is coming, everybody. Have a good Friday. We'll see you soon.